Hello artists, and welcome back to Art at Home with Mrs. Kellogg. Well, this is a pretty special week because this is the week we celebrate Earth Day, April 22nd. So I thought it would be fun to create some Earth Day inspired art. And I'm hoping that this lesson inspires you and reminds you of how important it is to take care of our planet by doing just simple everyday things, conserving water, recycling, or picking up and throwing out your trash. Now, meet me over at my workspace because I want to tell you a little bit more about the art lesson and the art supplies you will need. This is an example of the Earth Day art project we're going to create today. Now let me tell you the art supplies you will need for today's project. You're going to need paper, and the size is up to you. Make sure that your paper is thick enough to apply watercolor to. You have some choices here because when you draw your circle, you can draw your circle freehand, meaning you don't use a template, or you can use an object as a template. For example, you could use a paper plate. If you are using an object to draw your circle, make sure that your paper is bigger than that object. I've also included a link to a circle template that you can print out. The link is located on the Arts website right underneath this video. You have a couple of choices because you can print out that template and create your Earth Day art on the template, or if you'd like, you can cut out that circle and then glue it to your watercolor paper. If you decide to cut out the template, don't forget your scissors and your glue stick. You're also going to need a pencil with an eraser, a black fine tip Sharpie marker, any black marker or colored pencil to go over your lettering. In this project, I'm going to use oil pastels and colored pencils. But you have some choices because if you would prefer to use crayons or markers, you can do that as well. Since we are using watercolor, make sure you have your paintbrush, a paper towel, a cup filled with water, and your watercolor set. And you may want to add a ruler to your supply list because I'm going to use a ruler to divide up my circle into 3 parts and drawing the lines across. I'm also going to use a ruler to draw some lines to help me set up my lettering. And don't forget to set up your workspace by putting down your art mat or newspaper before you start your art project. Those are the materials you will need for today's project. Now would be a great time to pause your video, set up your workspace by putting your art mat or newspaper down, and gather all your art supplies, and then meet me back here and we'll start creating some Earth Day inspired art. As I said before, this is an example of the Earth Day inspired art project we're going to create for today's project. I like to think of it as creating a thank you card to our Earth, thanking our Earth for all the wonderful gifts and resources it gives us. Now let's get started. I'm going to start by drawing a circle and divide it into 3 parts. The top part being the sky, then the land, then the sea. For my project, I'm going to use a bowl as a template. And I want to remind you, if you are using any household items, always ask your parents first. So I'm going to place this bowl down. And one really important thing I need to remember is I want to include lettering. I want to make sure that I'm leaving enough space for the heart and the word hour, and then down below the word earth. So I'm going to place it in the middle. I want you also to remember that if you don't want to use a template, you can just free draw that circle in. Now my next step is to divide my circle into the sky, the land, and the sea. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a ruler to draw your lines in and to help you write your words. But if you prefer just to draw a free-handed circle and draw your lines in free-handed, which means I'm not going to use that ruler, feel free to do that. And I'm going to measure my circle, going the tall way, the vertical way, and it's 6 inches. So now I have a math problem because my circle is 6 inches and I need to divide it into 3 parts. And my goal is to divide it into 3 equal parts. So I can always count by groups to figure this out. For example, if I counted by twos, 2, 4, 6. So that means each part is going to be 2 inches. And another way to think about this, if you're learning your multiplication tables, 3 times 2 is 6. So I've got my 3 parts and each is 2 inches equaling 6. I'm going to make little guidelines here and then I'm ready to draw my lines in now. So when I use a ruler to draw straight lines, one of the most important parts is I want to make sure my ruler is straight, and I like to place my fingers, fan my fingers out to hold that ruler, because sometimes if I hold it on one side, it might shift. So I make sure it's even going across. I take my time, hold it down, and then start drawing my lines. Now I'm ready to write my words in. The sky, land, and sea. What I like to do is to get my thank you card, or you could even think of this as a poster honoring the earth. I want to get all my lettering in first. This is going to be the earth, and then I'm going to have the space around it. So I'm going to put some stars and planets in, but I want to write the word space. So I'm going to write it over here and here. Now it's time to write my other lettering. Now, remember, I can write it without using the ruler, but I'm going to show you a way to write your lettering using the ruler as guidelines to help you write your letters bigger or make them more even if you like that look. But again, this is optional. You don't have to do this. It's going to be the bottom line. This is going to help me make those nice big capital letters, and I want to make a pretty big heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top here and draw a top line. Later on, I will erase these lines, but they're going to help guide me. And now I'm ready to write my words, but before I do that, I want to draw the heart in, and then I'll start writing my words in. I always think of a heart as an upside down, diagonal, or tilted J. And notice I'm going past the line, but that's okay. Those lines are just guides for me. You can make all the letters capital or some capital letters and then some lowercase. So I want to go halfway up with those. And then I'm going to write the word earth and make it really big. Now would be a great time to pause the video, draw your circle, divide your circle into 3 parts, then write the words sky, land, and sea. And if you like to include the word space, include that. Then you can draw your heart and write your words in for the title of our art piece, Love Our Earth. Then you can trace your letters with a black fine-tip Sharpie marker or a colored pencil. But one important thing I want to remind you of, you don't want to trace your lines here. These are guidelines, so we're going to erase those out later. Then once you're finished with that, meet me back here and we'll start drawing some pictures and adding some color to our Earth Day art. Did you finish drawing and tracing your circle and your words? Great. Then let's get started adding some pictures. But before we do that, we want to make sure to erase all our guidelines out. So that's my first step. I've erased my guidelines out, so now it's time to add pictures to my Earth Day art. Now it's your turn to add your Earth Day pictures into the sky, the land, and the sea. Did you finish drawing your sky, land, sea, and space pictures? Then let's start adding some color. And as you can see, I've already started. The main thing you want to think about when you are adding color is first to have fun and choose whatever colors you like, but think about patterns. And again, think about that pattern of using light next to dark colors. That's going to get those shapes to really stand out. And pattern, remember, repetition, you want to repeat those colors. And then after you're finished adding all your colors, your crayons or your oil pastels, then it's time to start painting the background. And I'm probably going to add some paint into my sky and into my water as well. I'm going to get my brush really wet, and what I like to do is make sure my paper's a little bit wet and then add my colors. And that's going to make the paint easier to move. So watercolor needs water to move. And remember, if you get too much paint in an area, you can just spread it out, or if you like this idea, you can always blot it with a paper towel, and that's kind of fun to do too. I'm going to finish working on my Earth Day thank you card or poster. Now it's your turn to finish your Earth Day art project. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I want you to always remember when you are creating art to relax, have lots of fun, and keep creating. Happy Earth Day!